wanna shake your booties for Black Girl Nerd.
Hey, everybody. There's always a technical difficulty at
You
the
always
beginning.
you always gotta remix the beginning. You know what I'm saying?
I always got to remix the beginning. I feel like it's a tradition at this point. Welcome to BGN Podcast Live. Thank you guys for tuning in with us live. My name is Jamie. We've got Brian.
Hello.
And we've got Angelica.
Yay! Woo, 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 woo. Angelica.
The gang is back.
Woohoo!
So, as always, we ask that if this is your first time tuning in to always subscribe on YouTube and hit the notification bell. It's something that we really appreciate you guys doing. If you are on YouTube, by the way, there we go. There's that subscribe button right on Ryan's face. And you can talk back to us. You can talk back to us on YouTube. And you can talk back to us on Facebook. Twitter is not allowed that. I don't know why. You can live stream and watch this on YouTube or on Twitter as long as you want. You just can't talk back to us. But on Facebook and YouTube, you can. So again, thanks for joining us live. And if you miss us live, you can always catch us back on the replay, again, on YouTube. And don't forget to, hit that subscribe button as always. All right, so we also have a special guest that's coming in later onto the show, Jasmine Batchelor. So we're excited to talk with her about her film, You Are Not Alone. And she's also got a film called The Surrogate that premiered at South by Southwest. So we're excited to talk about her movie career and so much more. So stay tuned for that. But for now, we're going to dive right into Hot Topics. It's been a Hot Topic week. It's currently a Hot Topic on BGN. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's start with what is going on with entertainment / music / people that are just being trash right now.
By trash, we mean Kevin, right? Not Brittany, or I don't know.
No, yeah, definitely not Brittany. K-Fed. Oh my gosh, this guy just won't go away. Well, he's really trying to make himself relevant, right? With this stunt that he pulled with exposing, I use air quotes, exposing, revealing this camera video of Britney Spears being a mom, really, to her two sons in the car, fussing at them, which that's a normal situation that I've experienced with my mom as a kid. And I think he really thought he was doing something. So what do y'all thought about that whole situation with K-Fed trying to put Britney on blast?
Yeah, I'm a mom too. And if you recorded me, that's probably the same thing you would get. I mean, she's saying like her kids are ashy, put lotion on. She's,
right.
She's telling one of her sons, wear shoes in the store. It's cold outside. Like, these are not things that make someone a bad mother. And her kids are kind of snotty. I'm sure they're like 11 and 12 years old at the time. Like, they're fussing with their mom. She's fussing back at them. Like you said, he wasn't doing anything when he did that. Everyone was like, okay, like, where's the tea? Because it's not here.
Yeah. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was curious definitely to hear Angelica's point of view coming being as a mom and just putting that business out there. I don't know what celebrities these days, like, I just don't understand why, I feel like it's a little bit of putting the kids on blast a little bit too. I don't know if they were like, if maybe they're on social media and he thought it was okay. I guess he got their permission. They want to be, I don't know. But it's just always putting the business out in the street is how I feel about it. I feel like people are going to come after you anyway. So you just giving them like ammo, amping this up on like Instagram or whatever they're going to put out and going back and forth. So yeah, I feel like that's something they should have. I feel like K-Fed need to calm it down. I feel like that was a little too much. I think he went a little too far with that one.
Yeah, I agree with you. He went too far, and it's really interesting too. He had went ahead and put that video on his Instagram page, which I guess he just recently created this Instagram page, because I had saw the video first on the Shade Room, and then I saw people adding him in the comments, and then I went to his Instagram page, and that was the only post that was on there. He's now since deleted the video So I guess people have been coming after him in the comments, but
Yeah,
I'm
he
like,
was
dude,
getting dragged. He was
yeah,
getting
like,
dragged.
you created an Instagram page just to like throw your ex under the bus. That's just so trifling. Ugh.
Agreed.
Yeah. So anyway. So that is what's going on with that story. Our next story it's pretty sad. She to me is an icon, I think, and I absolutely adored and loved Olivia Newton-John, and she recently passed away this week. So we just wanted to, give a shout out to her and remember her. Do you guys have a favorite movie or a
Grease,
song?
obviously.
Oh
Grease.
yeah, it's got to be Grease, 100%. Yeah.
Because I
It's so
remember.
funny. Everybody says Grease. Mine was Xanadu, but that movie was
Okay.
like critically panned. But the songs were the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was an icon. I just remember like when I first moved here from Puerto Rico, I was like 8. And I remember I was on the plane and the movie they played was Grease. That was the first time I ever saw the movie, and I just like fell in love with it. So I know the soundtrack back to front. And then obviously after her passing, I'm big on karaoke. So like the karaoke community went heavy on like Summer Lovin' and Hopelessly Devoted to You. So it's sad to see that she passed, but from what I saw on her Instagram, the statement that her husband released that she kind of died at peace, surrounded by her family. So, at least she didn't go out bad.
Yeah.
And then that legacy behind the camera too with her Olivia Newton-John Foundation. And then she was working on like with her, we know she was in battle with cancer. And so she was working on like plant-based medicines and things like that to kind of keep the research going. So yeah, definitely, she would definitely be missed. And I'm just glad she has that legacy to keep going, to keep that fight continued.
Yeah, she was fighting cancer for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It seems she has a cancer center named after her. So she's done a lot of humanitarian effort in the fight against the disease. So we'll miss you, and seeing the love that poured out on Twitter was, obviously she made such a huge lasting impact on so many people. So yeah. But yeah, y'all need to watch Xanadu because that
This is what I hear.
roller skates and cheesy music. But the music was banger. Those were some bangers, for sure. So let's talk about what everybody's here for. No, this was actually on our agenda anyway. It's just kind of interesting how right now on social media, people are kind of in their feelings about a recent review that has come out from one of our writers. Shout out to Cezine, who is actually one of our strongest writers at BGN. Did an editorial about the movie Prey, which, by the way, have you guys seen Prey?
Yes, it's so good.
I haven't seen it. I have not seen it. I'm behind.
I have different feelings about it. We'll talk about it.
Of course.
First of all, let's talk before we talk about the review. Prey is Hulu's biggest movie TV premiere
Ever.
Is that correct, Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it beat the Kardashians, so that's big. I heard it beat the Kardashians premiere.
Per Variety that put out that article. So yeah.
Okay, well, Variety's on top of it, so they know what they're saying when they say that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it did. It's and I also read that it's the highest rated Predator movie in the franchise, according to Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep.
So a lot of fans loved it. A lot of critics loved it. So it's definitely a movie that's being heralded well. So speaking of critics, we recently put out a review on Black Girl Nerds, and it was a little bit controversial. It's actually been mixed, I would say. I wouldn't say it's like more people that don't like it than like it. It's pretty much half and half. But Cezine says that she's praising, first of all, the representation, the actor that is the lead protagonist, who's a part of the Comanche tribe, and seeing also the fact that there's Comanche representation in front of the camera and behind the camera. That's a huge deal. But also the fact that within the Predator framework, there's been sort of this veil of anti-Blackness with respect to the antagonistic character of the Predator, and the way the Predator is looked and designed. And there's been some fans who are obviously big fans of the franchise that disagree with her take on that. But one of the things I do want to back up Sazine's article is the fact that this is not just solely her opinion. There's historically critics, which she gives great receipts in her editorial, that have said this. So it's not just her saying, okay, this is my hot take on it, and let me throw this on the web. Roger Ebert has mentioned this, who's an esteemed critic, who's been reviewing movies for years. There are Black critics who have mentioned this in documentaries. So this is something that has been discussed for quite some time. She's just bringing that to light since this new movie has come out. And, I do agree with her to some extent. So, I know that there are people out there that are in their feelings about it. And it's an interesting thought experiment as to who is offended by it. Because I would expect, white guys to be offended by it, but to see that there's a lot of Black men coming at BGN in the comments, just goes to show that it's like when there's certain things that you want to have representation for, you're interested in that, but then there's other things that you don't want to have touched. I just find that to be very interesting. It's an interesting thought experiment for me. But that being said, I'm gonna be quiet and let you guys speak on this. First of all, about Prey the movie, Sazine's article, people's takeaways of the film. What were your guys' thoughts?
So I saw the movie and I loved it. It was just nice. I love when things are kind of like stripped down, and it kind of went back to the original idea of Predator, two adversaries looking to take each other out versus, like, let's be honest, the last couple of installments have been like teen too much. You're trying to do too much. So I really enjoyed it. And I'm also a sucker for period pieces, period. So the fact that they went 300 years back in time, you have this young woman, Comanche warrior, that's taken out this big giant predator with bow and arrows. It's not your typical action film. So I enjoyed it for that. I am kind of on the fence about the Predator itself because I'm perfectly aware of the subtle racism that is behind the Predator character. The only thing that I'm kind of like, it's just that those dreads are so synonymous with the Predator. So if you're a fan of the franchise, I think it would be hard to take that in if they made those changes. But I also acknowledge the history behind it, and what that character is rooted in. So I'm kind of, I wouldn't say 50-50, but I understand both sides of the argument.
Yeah, I would say I'm split as well. So I kind of ditto Angelica on that. I haven't seen it yet. I want to go see it because I love me some action. So I want to check it out. I heard that it was good. I'm getting surprised. I like to be on this side of it because I didn't know we were going to go into the deep discussion on it, on the character, on the Predator and everything, and what it shapes and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, you just have to be careful these days because everybody is going back through the franchises and they're taking the characters out like they never did before. Like everything has a magnifying glass on it. Like Angelica said, this is a character that has been in the other films. That it's been there. So it's not like you can do. Maybe they were like, well, maybe we can't do this character without this look. But then there's always going to be that other side to it, where it's like you have to be ready for that feedback as well. These days, like every character is being analyzed for what it represents. Are you taking this into the factor when you're creating the story? Everybody's opinions now. I mean, that's just 2022. Like everybody is taking in like different aspects that they didn't pay attention to before. So yeah, I'm on the fence about it. I definitely still want to see it and see like the mannerisms, the characteristics of it. But yeah, I mean, I think everybody's just gonna be split down the fence on this one.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's all about being subjective, and you have your own opinion about things, and that's what criticism is all about. So just as we've decided to shift and change, and I think that was the whole point of our article, change the trajectory of how the protagonist is perceived in these types of films. And we did have a female protagonist in Alien versus Predator. I still think that it's okay to critique the way the antagonist is framed as well. But that being said, I'm a huge fan of Predator. I love the Predator movies. We actually did a review on the 1987 film and praised it and loved it. Of course, nobody talked about that.
Get to the choppers. Sorry.
No, nobody talks about the positive stuff. You gotta embroil yourself in drama.
Now you know social media. Come on now.
You know social media. That's no fun. That's no fun. But yeah. Bill Duke, man, he's the best. He was my favorite character, by the way, in Predator. But yeah, like we talked about that. And as far as my opinion on Prey, I did not like it. I did not enjoy it. I think
Why come? How come?
I felt it was very disjointed. I actually did not, and I feel ashamed of saying this, I did not enjoy the protagonist. I thought that there were times where her character was insufferable.
She was a little stubborn.
Yeah. And also the Predator in and of itself did not feel like a threat to me. I just didn't care for it. So we could definitely do a show and a breakdown of Predator, because I know we've got some other topics to move on to, but I think I'm in the minority, because every person that I've talked to, like film critics, just casual fans, they're like, I love the movie. It was great. And I'm
that's
like,
what I've been hearing. Yeah.
Person that didn't like it. So, and I'm glad I'm in the minority, because I think it's good. I'll mention this one more thing before we move on. And I'm not going to mention this person's name because I'm not going to give them promo, but there's this YouTuber that I just watch kind of just so I can see how the negative toxic fanboys, what their thinking is out there. But this toxic fanboy YouTuber notoriously always denigrates and puts down like female centered protagonists in superhero movies and action movies, like notoriously. And they like surprisingly liked Prey, and I was shocked. I was like, what? Because like this person didn't like Black Panther. This person, like, they don't like people of color and like women represented in movies and shows. So to see that they liked Prey, I was like, all right, well, maybe something's wrong with me. I don't know, but yeah. So good for Prey for killing it on Hulu with the streaming numbers and getting a lot of critical acclaim on Rotten Tomatoes and all of that. And obviously, there's probably going to be a Prey 2. So.
Oh yeah, well, not to give it away, but the end credits alludes to possibly another Prey movie.
True. So. Yeah, that is true. And yeah, kind of the ending kind of leaves
it sets it up for potential.
Yeah, it sums it up. Yeah. So, well, cool. All right. Well, we got all of that out of the way. We still got some time for another hot topic. I'll go ahead and move on to oh man, I'll move on to our next hot topic, which is this guy. I feel like we talk about him every week, but that's because he's always doing stuff. Actually, you know what? No. Let's not move on to him.
Ezra is going to Ezra. You know, he's going to just get himself in trouble, and that's just what it is.
We'll get back to Ezra if we got some time. Let's move on to this top topic. The Sandman. Netflix is The Sandman. So I'm gonna toss it over to you, Angelica and Ryan, because you guys have the 411 on what's going on in the Sandman fandom.
Yes. So Sandman is adapted from Neil Gaiman's DC Universe comics. It premiered last weekend and I loved it. I binged it in one day. It just has every possible thing you could want in a TV show. So many different characters, so many different colors, so many different identities, all wrapped up into one. And it's just I mean, look at Dream. He's gorgeous. So anyways, I enjoyed it. And his voice, he has this sexy, like, I'm Dream and I'm the king of nightmares and I rule. Like he's just so confident. And of course, shout out to Gwendolyn Christie of Game
We
of
stand her,
Thrones.
yes.
Yes, we stand her. She plays Lucifer Morningstar. So what I wanted to dig into was toxic fandom. It's funny, I was on a Facebook group today and someone basically said it's disappointing that the Sandman fandom has kind of turned into Star Wars as far as how toxic they can be. So a lot of the characters on Sandman have been race bending and then gender bending. So the characters have been switched out. You have to also think about the fact that Neil wrote this in the 1980s when he was in his 20s. Like, times have changed. He's evolved. He was heavily involved in the show. So any changes he signed off on. So we have, Lucienne, who is Dream's librarian that pretty much ruled over the Dreaming while he was locked up on Earth. It was a white, like British type Alfred character, and now it's a British Black woman. We have Death, which is Dream's older sister, white girl. She's a Black woman with big hair. Let's see. We also have Joanna Constantine, who was a man. Now she's a woman. And then Rose Walker, who was pretty pivotal towards the end of the series. She was a white girl. Now she's a Black girl with dreadlocks. So obviously fandom's pissed off because they're like, they're white characters. Why would you change? Oh, and also Gwendolyn Christie playing Lucifer Morningstar, who, I mean, the devil, you think about being a guy, and it's a woman. So people were pissed. Like,
the audacity.
Oh, how dare you change this? So Neil Gaiman, he's been clapping back. Like, Neil's been jumping in, and he was like, he tweeted out, nobody gets to gatekeep Sandman, not as a comic, not in an Audible adaptation, and definitely not on the TV show. There's no entrance exams, nor should there be. Everyone is welcome. So he kind of shut it down. Like, you can't gatekeep this show and say that who belongs and who doesn't. Like, it's a new era. Deal with it. And the show's #1 on Netflix, like, in almost every country. So they can be quiet, basically. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to dive into on that. But it's a really, really good show. And
I've watched like the first 4 episodes so far. It's
Okay.
great. I love it. I absolutely love it. I need to finish it off, but yeah, it's good.
It's really good, right? And I enjoyed it. And I just love all the representation. We got Black people, we got LGBTQ+, we just have everything, and it's all melded together on this show. So
it's so beautifully shot.
It's beautiful to look at. So the fact that people are complaining about it because they've decided to include, people of color and LGBTQIA+, I'm just like, come on, like, grow up.
And y'all be exhausted at this point, because like this is like a thing that's happening in all of these movie and TV franchises. So if this is what how y'all gonna react, y'all need to get like some anxiety medication or something, because y'all be stressed.
Oh, and there was another thing. So like people were complaining about, there's so much gay stuff on this show. How dare they? And people were like, well, it was in the original comics too. Like there was bi characters, non-binary characters, lesbians, all up and through the original
mostly
source.
Neil Gaiman's material is characters where sexual identity, that all of that is, crossed and stuff like that. Yeah, because I mean, American Gods had that too.
Yep, exactly. So who knows? They'll be all right. They're still streaming it and giving it numbers and raking in profits for Neil and team. So I'm just like, whatever. So
yeah, I like too how the actors are starting to be like, look, I don't care. Like this is representation. I don't care what you got to say. I'm gonna put you on block if I need to. I just need to kind of step into this role because I was checking out. I haven't seen it yet, but I was checking out a lot of the Sandman panels, and they were very much standing for their characters. They like, look, it's different from the comics. Get over it. Sink into it a little bit here. So yeah, I like that.
Not every adaptation has been exactly like the comics. Like even the Marvel movies have not been like the comics. Even like one of the greatest, arguably the greatest Marvel movie ever made, Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, they were not like Infinity War, the comics. So like, I don't know why people think that somehow frame for frame, scene by scene, it's going to be, canonical. Is that the word? Canon?
Yeah,
Whatever.
no, you're saying canon.
canon,
but
canon, yeah.
Yeah, it's
What do you
not
think?
it's not going to be that way because that's a hard thing to do, is to adapt something from directly, like from a book to the live screen or to the big screen. That's a lot of content to adapt. So they've got to take those creative liberties. And then, like you said, Angelica, like that was made a long time ago. Times were different. The culture has shifted. There's technical differences now. Like things have changed. So you're never going to get exactly how it was made back when it was first, written.
Exactly. So shout out to Neil Gaiman for backing, his actors and the showrunners on their choices and the writers.
Oh, goodness. People need to just chill the F out. And then we got House of Dragon next.
Get ready for the change. Oh, you know what's going down with that one. Just get ready for the change.
Yeah, people gonna be in their feelings about that one. So.
What was it? Did you say Little Mermaid, or was it something else? Sorry, I didn't catch it.
Oh, that one too. That one too. They're gonna be in their feelings. But that one too.
Oh, I said House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, with the Valerians. Since Ryan had mentioned how actors don't even care anymore, there was just another article dropped. I think it was also Variety that interviewed Halle Bailey. And how she felt about the controversy around her casting, and she just kind of said like she's ignoring the haters. Her family told her the importance of representation and what it will mean to Black and brown little girls to see her as Ariel, and that's kind of been her motivation to kind of take one step forward and keep it pushing with this project. So can't wait for next year. 2023 is so far away.
It's that 2022 newness. Y'all better get ready. Going into 2023.
Get ready. Well, speaking of getting ready, we're going to get ready to bring in our guest, Jasmine Batchelor, who we're excited to chat with. So before I bring her in, just going to do a quick little intro. Jasmine Batchelor starred in the independent film The Surrogate, written and directed by Jeremy Hirsch, which debuted at South by Southwest in 2020 and garnered her a 2021 IFP Gotham Award nomination for Breakthrough Actor. Congratulations. In addition to film and television, Jasmine has worked with the Manhattan Theater Club, the Playwrights Realm, the Public Theater, Two River Theater, Human Race Theater Company, and Baltimore Center Stage. She is the alumnus of the Juilliard School. Wow, that's so impressive. And Wright State University. She's here to talk about her latest film that just wrapped, You Are Not Alone. We are welcoming Jasmine to the show. Jasmine, thanks for coming.
Hey, y'all. Not you reading my resume and me being like, I did that? Oh, that's cool.
Yes, queen.
Yes.
It's so nice to be in a room with like, y'all. Oh my God. Hey.
Hi.
Oh, we're so happy to chat with you. So
Thank you for
talk
having me.
to us about, obviously this film that, first of all, this film that you're in, You Are Not Alone. Talk to us about this movie because it just wrapped, I understand.
Yeah. And it's so surreal to be able to talk to y'all like immediately after. Like I'm still trying to get rest from after we wrapped. Do you know? Like I'm still catching up on sleep. But yeah, it's so it's called You Are Not Alone. And obviously when people hear that, they think either it's going to be a horror film or they think rightfully about Michael Jackson. So one of those two is correct. It's not the horror film. It centers around the woman who wrote it. Her name is Cindy McCreary, and I play a version of her. And what happens is her brother has like this kind of health scare and has to be admitted to the hospital at the same time that Michael Jackson is declared as dead. And I know that I remember exactly where I was when that happened in 2009. I mean, I think we all were like somewhere, I was in the middle of Dayton, Ohio, like staring at a screen, like what, but Cindy actually was like there in LA at the hospital across from where his body was being held. And so she was going through all of this like family stuff while this huge media thing was happening directly across from her. So it's kind of like a macro versus micro kind of thing, like this huge thing happening outside and inside. You're dealing with all of these family things that you've maybe been trying to not deal with all of your life. So it all comes to a head in this like family drama. And there is some moonwalking. There definitely is some moonwalking. Definitely a little glittered glove action. Definitely a hat, so there's that.
Oh, nice. Now, you work with Ryan Cooper, who plays your half sibling, AJ. How was it working with him on this?
I love him. He just texted me, actually. Can I tell you a little story about Ryan that might actually make it real clear who Ryan is? So we were in Austin, Texas filming this. And I don't know if y'all know, but like Austin is hot. Like, I don't know if I could curse on here, but it is hot as fill in the blank, right?
Right.
Especially in July. I was like, I am not meant to be in this heat. Like, oh my God. But in that heat, all the bugs come out. And it doesn't, right? Oh yeah, I heard that. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how nice your apartment is. It doesn't matter what floor you're on. They're coming out either now or later. And I remember we had one weekend where I had like one day off, and I was like cherishing it. I was like, I'm going to wash all my clothes. I'm going to go to the pool. I'm going to get some sleep. And in the middle of me, like just enjoying a day, this huge, they call them water bugs, but they're cockroaches. Like, let's be honest. Yep. Cute, like the size of like 4 of my fingers.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know.
No.
Yes, I know. Just comes out of the bathroom. And I'm like, like screaming, freaking out because I think I'm a clean person. I was like, what have I done? Like what's going on? And I didn't have any raid because I'm in actor housing. They're like, they put us up for a month and a half. So I didn't have anything. I was like, I'm just not going to use the bathroom for the next like 24 hours. Like I was calling people like, hey, can someone come help me like grab this giant bug? Because I'm scared. I'm so scared of bugs. Like, I'm a coward. So anyway, the next day, I Instacart raid. That's how desperate I was. Like I paid an exorbitant amount of money for a can of raid. And then I raided the whole bathroom and then shut the door, And then the next day, I'm like going about my business, like wherever it is, it's dead. Like it's in the wall, whatever. And I walk by the hallway and it's just huge, giant, dead cockroach in the middle of the hallway. Like, can't miss it. Even if you stepped over it, you just be like, so I called Ryan. And I was like, Ryan, there's a huge dead bug and I can't vacuum it up because you're not supposed to. Like they say the eggs will be in the vacuum. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll come get it. No problem. So I think he's going to like sweep it up or maybe like get a napkin at very most. No, this man from Australia who used to build houses for a living, who now is a model, right? All these different things. He comes up and he takes his bare hand and scoops up this giant bug that is the size of 4 of my fingers. And like very calmly, and I'm freaking out. And I open the patio door, like, just throw it outside. Just throw it outside. And he's like, okay, calm, toss. Then he just goes and washes his hands like nothing happened. Like, that's who Ryan is. He will pick up a bear bug for you. Yeah.
It has to be also because he's Australian. Like they're used to giant creatures and weird things. So
it has to be. I'm gonna put it on that. I'm gonna be like, you're kind and you're Australian because low-key, like I also partially grew up in the Bahamas and I've seen a couple bugs in my day, but like I'm not touching it for nobody. I don't care if it's my mother or my brother or my significant other. It's not happening.
Well, shout out to Ryan for scooping up that bug for you.
Shout out to Ryan.
Yeah, this Ryan ain't scooping up no bugs though. And I know the water bugs, like they call it water bugs because that's where they appear. But in North Carolina, nah, that's like a big cockroach, and it's like nope. It's like hard pass. So I feel
she
you
said,
on that
this
one.
Ryan is not picking up.
Yeah, I ain't touching it. Nope. I know the exact bug you're talking about, and I'm like, not today, Satan. Anyway, so let's talk about some of the other cast here. You also have Dorian Wilson as part of the cast. He plays your father. Taking me back to my Miss Parker days on that one. But how was that? How was that? Like, what was that initial meeting? You gotta tell me about this one.
Oh my God, I freaked out for like a full week because I'm gonna be honest with you, like a lot of the creative team are like very kind white people. And so when they were like, oh, Dorian's coming in. Do you know who this is? And I was like, every Black person knows who Dorian is. Yes, that face.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we know who
Yeah.
Dorian is. I was
Yeah.
like, that's Professor Ogilvy. Like, what? Yes,
Mhm.
I know who that is. So I was kind of nervous because I think he was coming in maybe the second or third day we were filming, just to like, come in and immediately be my father. And he came into the hotel and I was like in between scenes and he goes, oh, my sweetheart, my daughter, there you are. So kind, like such a loving, beautiful, warm person, and with so many nuggets of wisdom because he's been in the business for like so long, and is always working. Like that man never doesn't have a job, which is saying something. He is fantastic. He was so kind. Like I couldn't have asked for a better person to play my dad. And all my friends were freaking out because we grew up watching Moesha and the Parker. Like that was my heyday. It was the UPN time. So it was wonderful. He's great. Shout out to you, Dorian.
Shout out to Professor Ogilvy. So, what was it like developing your character, Grace? I know she's kind of she is based off the writer Cindy McCrary.
Mm-hmm.
And I know she was on set during filming. So do you feel like it was beneficial to have her on set and kind of draw off her experiences? And how did that go into creating or developing your character?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Cindy and I are both Capricorns, and so we already have a lot in common. And so I actually was like drawn to the script because I was like, oh, I understand a lot of how this person is handling some things. Like even when the character does something that I'm like, oh, girl, that's a lot. Like, why would you do that? I have empathy for it and can understand it. And knowing that it's a more sensational version of Cindy, when I met Cindy, I was like, oh, okay. Like you doing this makes sense. And I don't really have to rationalize or invent a reason why I'm doing this because I'm literally seeing it right in front of me. Like Grace has a habit of never taking an elevator. Like I hope I'm not ruining anything for saying that, but yeah, she like never takes an elevator, right? She always takes the stairs. So like if you were on the 17th floor of a building, she would take the stairs, which is kind of like, girl, but also I get it, right? And I was like, maybe that's just something fun that Cindy wrote in, it's like a little character spice, No, she literally takes the stairs. Like one day we were filming in University of Texas and I'm trying to find a bathroom and this door flings open right by the elevator and it's Cindy coming up from like 4 flights of steps, and she's like, hey, and I was like, wow, oh, I don't have to act that because I just saw her do it. Like that's such a big part of this character is her doing that all the time. I was like, boom, that's it. I don't have to search for it. I don't have to create it. It's right there. So moments like that were a total gift. And I also got to meet her husband, who is also in the film. And he told me like a lot of stories that made me be like, okay, this is how Cindy was dealing with this at this time, or this is, she wrote this to be sometimes a more kind version of what happened in real life. And it gave me such empathy and like understanding of this person on a level that you meet people and you obviously have empathy for them and you obviously care about them. But when you start to learn someone's backstory and they don't necessarily tell you, but it's someone close to them telling you, it's like you kind of unlock all these doors to them and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, I get why you are the way you are. I get why you express things this way. I get, more importantly, why you wrote this down. And I get why this movie is so important to you. Like, even if I didn't get it before, in hearing your story from the person who's been your partner for however long, like now I get to understand you. And understanding someone is like ground zero for acting, for being them. You have to have empathy for them, but also you have to know who they are. So that was a huge, huge gift. Huge gift.
Awesome.
In this film, it's a film about family, and You Are Not Alone. The overarching story focuses on that. and how complicated families can be. And in this case, it's about a racially mixed and blended family. So does that add another element to the whole family dynamic?
I mean, ooh, okay. Can I be honest? Can I be very honest? So it's not necessarily always directly in the script, but I gotta be honest with you. I'm never not Black when I'm in a room. I mean, that's like the most basic statement I could have ever said, but it's the truest one. Like,
That's real.
I remember being in a play in grad school, and it was like set in the city, set in this time period where it was like the KKK was flourishing, and I was supposed to be this girl like creating a television. And I asked the director, I was like, I'm Black. Like, I'm Black. Like, you know, that wasn't a question, but it was like, I'm Black at this time. Like, just so you know, are we thinking about this? And he was like, I don't see you as Black. I don't see you as anything. You're just doing this play. You're building this. You're focused on building the television. And I was like, yeah, but I'm a Black person building a television. So, you know, like I'm always gonna look like this. This is who I am. This is such an important part of me. Do you know that I could play, unless I'm playing like an alien from outer space and I'm completely covered or whatever, like you see me and you see a Black woman. Like that's what it is. And so being in this blended family in this film, there were moments where she's also like, she's known as the golden child, but really it's kind of a scapegoat dynamic at times, do you know? And with a lot of her siblings, you know, either being white males or being, you know, honestly, being white males and experiencing antagonistic moments with them. It's like, yeah, that it may not be written in there, but that's underlying. Like that, of course, there's an otherness going on that I hope that the audience is like, oh, I'm also picking up on this. Like, it is harder than, not harder than it seems, but harder than it looks or harder than it reads, but it just is like representative of what that dynamic would be like. And I also think it's like incredibly interesting that the person in the movie that she's most close to in her family is a Spanish woman. Do you know, is like another woman of color. So there are all those kinds of elements happening. Even if they're not necessarily like said out loud, like I never say to any of my like white brothers, like, hey, like give me some like room here. Like, you know, I'm Black. Like you have no idea what that's like. It's felt. Like it's very much felt. I will say that on a funny tip, I did help Ryan discover the merits of lotion while we were shooting. So there's that. not to shout you out, Ryan, but I definitely did. He's like a gorgeous man. But one day we were just like chilling out and I was like, dude, you're mad ashy. Like, what's going on?
Did you even know what you meant by that when you said ashy? Because
no, but honestly, like he kind of knew, but also I had texted him earlier and I said something. He was like, oh, do you want to do something? And I was like, bet. And he's like, I had to look up what you meant when you said bet. So, you know, so like I taught him like, hey man, you gotta like lotion every time you take a shower because you're gorgeous. You gotta like keep your skin
moisturized.
You know yeah, 101.
It's terrible.
You know, but like he's also improved my life in certain ways, and my gift to him was lotion. So there's that.
Oh, that's so funny. We were just talking about Britney Spears, you know, yelling at her kids for being ashy, and then you mentioned
that's a Southern mom right there.
I mean, she just validated the fact that white people like tell their kids that they need lotion too. So yeah, it's not just us telling our kids that they need lotion. I guess white folks have that thing with their kids too, huh?
I mean, everybody needs lotion. Everybody needs to be moisturized. I'm glad we're all, on the same page.
I mean, it sounds like you had everything together because you had to teach them how to moisturize on set. But what did you like? I'm curious what you learned on set, right? Because you got the theater background too. Were you able to bring any like little techniques to the set?
Oh yeah, of course. On every film, I mean, I'm gonna sound so old school, but I take pride in that because I respect the elders who are always saying like theater. You have to do theater. That's the rep. That's like your gym.
Right.
So if you want to be in movies, if you want to do television, these long episodics that like Netflix has, you have to know what it's like to create a full story. And only theater does that. Like only in theater do you have to do the same show 8 times a week and make it new every night. Like that is a skill that only the theater can do. And so, when we're on set and we're doing, let's say I'm like crying in a stairwell for like the 5th time, Mariah Carey wall sliding down a stairwell, like, like I got to figure out how, like, what is it that brings that out, and not try to recreate the moment that I just did in take 3, but what is it that I'm actually upset about? What did I come here for? All of the things that I would have to think about on stage, I have to think about in this film. But also the challenge of film and why I love it so much, why I'm like movies for life, is because the camera, sometimes you can lie in theater. Like sometimes a good actor, you won't see it. But sometimes in theater, because there's so much space, you could definitely like have a little bit less going on. But on camera, the camera is right there. Like you're going to see everything. The camera, you can't lie. You're going to see it. Like, the difference between a really good performance. Like you can think about, I'm thinking about like Denzel in Training Day. I'm also thinking about like Angela Bassett in What's Love, or any of Angela Bassett, let's be honest. But you could tell the difference in a performance like that and in someone who's like, I don't really care about this, I'm just like getting through it, or I didn't really believe in what I just said. Like the camera is going to tell immediately. So once you learn how to do that on stage 8 times or 9 times a week, in repetition, living in the moment where there are no take 3, take 4, take 5s, it's right now. If I mess up, I keep going. I'm living like I am right now in this life. Once you learn that, film is like a little bit easier because you're like, oh, okay, this take is going to be great. And then maybe the next take isn't, but at least I get different chances to like live truthfully. I feel like I just rambled that whole thing, but I hope it made sense.
No,
I have so much respect for theater actors because you guys really just give your all. Like you said, you do those repeat performances night after night, and you have to, come with that same energy each night. And I know it's got to, after a while, be exhausting. And not to compare myself to you, because obviously, like, you're Juilliard trained, and you're
girl, stop.
far better than me. But I remember, because I took theater in high school, and I was in a few plays, and there was this one play that I was in where, like, all of the cast, we all forgot our lines, and the light goes up, the curtain raises, and it's like silent.
Oh no.
And then there was this one line in the script that for some reason it just stuck to us because it was kind of funny, and it was called Button, Who's Got the Button? And one of the guys,
is this play? I must know what this play is.
I feel like it was maybe Once Upon a Mattress. I don't remember. I could be lying, but it was a musical. I remember that. And he said it, and then they put down the lights and they closed the curtain. This is
They're like, that's a wrap on y'all. No new take. It's a wrap.
But it's just amazing that you guys can't mess up. Like in film and TV, you can at least be like, all right, cut. Let me read the script. Oh, I was supposed to say this. Let's go ahead and redo it. But you guys have to like improv or think of something else or rework the scene. Because it's all live. I just have so much respect for you guys in theater. It's a different beast.
It truly is. And I also can't, I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on that. They just put the curtain down.
They were like, it's a wrap. Nobody remembered their line.
That is wild to me. They were just like, nah, it's not like this.
So if you wanted a theater career, when that curtain went down, man,
it was over.
Oh, that's amazing. I gotta like, I don't steal very many things, but like, I really hope that I get to act that moment out in my lifetime. someday. Not like in real. Not I hope it doesn't happen to me on stage, but I hope in some like sitcom or something that happens because it's brilliant. So great. No, yeah, I've had to like improv Shakespeare. Yo, that was like
No.
That's gotta be hard because that's
nightmares.
a whole different language.
I mean, but like not to be nerdy, but here I am in the perfect place to be nerdy. Like,
We're
yeah.
nerds.
right?
It's all to nerdum.
Right? But like I don't love all of Shakespeare's plays. Let me be real about that. A lot of them have aged really badly. And a lot of the themes make me like hella uncomfortable. But the writing and the craft and the way that Shakespeare used language is so like mind blasting. And a lot of times we do think it's a different language because of all the like thous and theys and thys and all of that. But if it's done well, it is so clear. It is so clear because he tells you what to do in every like line. He literally like, you don't need it. Not to say you don't need a director because we all need directors. But if you were to put up a Shakespeare play and you sat with like a group of friends and you were like, okay, let's dissect what's happening. Shakespeare tells you everything, like where you should be standing, what's happening, what this other person went to do, how you feel. Like literally no other writer is telling you how you feel just based on the way the words sound. Like that is wild. Like that's why I have such respect for people who do Shakespeare all the time, but that's why doing the improv of Shakespeare is hard because he literally gives you a blueprint and he chooses the words so specifically that if you miss one, you're like, okay, I know the general feeling of what I should be saying, but like, I don't have this huge gargantuan word to fill this emotion with, you know? It's just such a like, here I am nerding out about Shakespeare and I didn't expect to be doing that, but it's like, there's nothing like getting to express human emotion through like the letter O. Like, what? Like, when in your life are you going to get to be like, I'm so sad that I'm so enraged that I'm just going to like bellow from my stomach, you know? Like, what? Brilliant. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love it. I love seeing these new films that are coming out that have these contemporary adaptations of Shakespeare. I think we had recently reviewed this movie called R+J, which is like a modern take on Romeo and Juliet, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, I like seeing those kinds of stories. So
did you see that the Denzel Mackers?
Oh,
that came
Macbeth,
out in
the Tragedy of Macbeth?
Yeah. So I just gotta say, like, the witch in that deserves way more praise. Like I was like, oh, what? She doing this? Like, I was like hitting my boyfriend, like, yo, this is crazy. And he was like, okay, like, let me watch the film. Like, chill out. She was incredible. She was the best part of that movie for me because I was like, yo, I never thought of it like this. Like, the chance to be that imaginative with that character, you know, it's brilliant. Shout out to her. She was fantastic.
And we stand Moses Ingram, who was in that.
We stand Moses. I just saw her. We stand her.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
So you are not alone. You said you wrapped filming. Now, when are we expected to see this movie? Because obviously, now that we've been talking about it, we want to see it.
Please do. The real answer is I have no idea. So that's not professional at all. I'm like, no idea. Right now they're doing a bunch of editing, so I feel really bad for Melissa, who is editing right now and looking at my face for countless hours of the day. And then I know that they're submitting to festivals, so it's going to be very similar to the way that like I did this film called The Surrogate that rolled out via like South by Southwest. So hopefully we'll get to do like Sundance, South by, Tribeca. That would be the goal. And for it to go through there because it is an independent film. So we need all of the like festival
Love.
magic we can get. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully people will like it, and they won't be tired of seeing me like cry or have emotional distress.
Or walk
some
up
film or
steps.
other. Yeah, walk up steps and fall down them like, oh God, It's a lot. It's a lot going on in that movie, but I'm proud of it. I'm proud of I always like to play Black women who are multifaceted and have like a lot of cerebral things going on. So this was a gift.
Well, while we wait for it, I want to take you back to Surrogate real quick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because checking this movie out, Jess, the character here, we get a lot of comments on BGN, wanting to put a spotlight on disabilities and disability awareness and how media, fits that in. And so I'm curious, as an actor that gets to put a spotlight on that, Jess was in the whole movie for like an hour or so, which is so intense on the scene she was put in, and was asked about, like, there's one where she's with her parents talking about Down syndrome. There's another one where she walks in a restaurant and she's like, well, how are you going to get people in wheelchairs in this restaurant? And she's like, in this manager's face, like, what are you going to do right now? Give me an answer, go. And so I feel like it was bringing it from the audience's perspective, on that awareness. So what did you take away from Jess? And have you been getting a lot of feedback, from the movie just on that spotlight?
Yeah. I mean, first off, I'm surprised by how many people saw it. I'm always like, oh, what? You saw the movie? But it taught me a lot. Like I like to pride myself on reading a room or understanding people or getting to know people. But as a human being, there's always going to be stuff you missed. So in doing that, I was like, oh, word, like actually the neighborhood that I like now live in, that we filmed a lot of that movie in, I was like, yeah, it's not really accessible. Like New York as a city, I always knew was not really an accessible place, period. Like if you even think about the mothers with the strollers trying to get on the subway, like that, when I used to live in Harlem, I was like, how are you getting down all these steps? Like, this is not safe, to being in the real life, like play areas / daycare that we filmed in with all those kids. Like I had never been to Gigi's. I'd never been there. I didn't even know that existed, but being there and learning so much about that community and getting close with Leon, who literally plays little Leon in the movie.
So cute.
So the cutest bean, like the cutest little, I love him so much. But I learned so much about what it actually what it means to take care of, to love, and to watch out for the best interest of a child with Down syndrome. And I don't even know 80%. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know the things that people with Down syndrome children have to know or learn, and they don't even know, so there's always more learning. There's always something to discover. And I learned during that film that I was like, I have to continue to always be learning. That's the only way that I'm not going to come across as like some kind of ableist bully or someone who's like ignorant or someone who doesn't have space for something that doesn't immediately concern me, which is very American, like for people to be so self-concerned that they're like, well, it doesn't affect me. I don't have to like think about it. It's like, no, like you got to be open to someone being like, hey, this term that you think is like silly is like actually very hurtful. Or the way that you describe this thing, or actually like, I would love to come to your party, but there are stairs there. So is there another way for me to get there? Like that kind of stuff, being aware of it and being open to like, actually being like, I'm sorry. Okay, great. How can I help? What is the best situation? Knowing that you don't always know best is the thing that I walked away from that film feeling, and feeling like, well, what's the best way for me to be an ally is to listen. Let's do the thing that I ask white men to do all the time, which is like, shut up, listen. Like, listen when I tell you what's up, like actually listen. And then like, that's what I have to do as well. So
exactly. Yeah. Beyonce.
And the crying was well placed, by the way. In this one.
One take.
Yeah, it was intense. Girl, shout out, kudos. It was intense. It was intense. You went there, and I appreciate it. I just want to give you that shout because you've been hard on yourself. So I just want to give you that shout out.
Thank you. No, thank you. I mean, crying is hard on film, yo, because sometimes it'll come in the middle of the day where you have like all these other like happy scenes, and they'll be like, Jess breaks down in her parents' house. You're like, oh God. Like I was just laughing 5 minutes ago. Now I gotta, have a crisis. So no, we always appreciate when it comes out well.
Well, listen, we look forward to watching it and hopefully covering it because we do cover most of the film festivals. We go to Sundance, we go to South by, maybe it'll be at TIFF. We'll be at TIFF next month. So we'll see what festival it'll play at, and I look forward to seeing it. And thank you, Jasmine, for coming on the show. Is there any place where our listeners can follow you on social media, where we can learn more about your work, website, anything you want to shout out?
And that is a tricky part because I am social media free as of a year ago. So
Preach, that is such congratulations. Really,
I can't do it.
I
can't
either. But for people that just unplug completely, really,
it's been wonderful, but I miss everything. So there's that. But please, like if you like what you hear about Yana, I believe you can follow it on like You Are Not Alone Film on Instagram. I believe, I could be very wrong. And then everyone I work with has an Instagram. Like literally all of them have Instagrams, and I do have a TikTok, but I never do anything. I just watch cat videos and videos of like Idris Elba eating wings and stuff. So that's
you should follow our TikTok then, because there's cats and Idris Elba on our TikTok. So.
Great.
You got me.
Two things we love here at BGN: cats and Idris.
Yeah, I mean, universal, right? It's universal.
It is. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jasmine, for coming on our show, and we hope to have you back.
Yes.
I hope so too. It was great meeting you.
Nice meeting you as well.
Nice meeting you.
Right.
Thanks,
Bye.
Jasmine. Bye.
Awesome. Well, you guys, that wraps up our show. Angelica, great job.
Yep.
Thank you for
Back in the saddle.
Back in the saddle. Are you going to be with us next week?
Let me know. Oh, we talk about moms. We have a field trip. So if I get back in time from the aquarium, I'm happy to jump in with you guys.
The aquarium. I like it.
Okay. Well, we will keep you posted if Angelica joins us next week. And we do have a guest next week.
Yeah, we do.
So we are really, really looking forward to that. And yeah, thanks for joining us. And bye, Nitty. And bye to everybody else who joined us on the stream. And thanks again for tuning in. See you next week.
Bye.